G'day, welcome to part 6 of my Fly Corp All Countries game here, as we continue on. Now, one thing I started thinking about since I've last played is something like, say, this Havana route. So currently this route is going to be, I would gain $58,882 for this. But as the game goes on, I should get more money per route. Right, it's going to be more expensive for me to build a new route. So will that remain 58,882 as I buy more countries, or could potentially in the early game you build long routes and then sell them as investments late in the game? So definitely everything operating through Paris here is obviously one of the bigger issues that I have, and I'm trying to think of what I should do to address that. I've got obviously this Mali route down here now. Definitely the suggestions that I've seen of Madrid coming into this is probably also very worthwhile. It's Fort Lauderdale. Or did it just give up and show me where it was? I thought Fort Lauderdale was down here. Oh, there it is. Alright. No complaints. Okay. Alright, so speed things up a little bit. Kenya has quarantine, so let's pause for a second. We'll just make sure that Kenya isn't a... Good. Kenya's just an out little end of my my route, so no problems there. Okay, so we've got 1 million. So I don't know if what we should do is just sort of spend the money, or we should now spend this money to get China into the game. Now, if I was to build a road from there to here, I can see it's going to cost me about 100,000. So possibly, and I know that Myanmar is going to cost me $500,000 to bring in. So to bring in China without it actually being my current goal could be too expensive to justify. That's where this becomes a bit tricky. So we'll just roll with what we've got. And we've got to think about what we want as our next destination. It's probably Bangkok. Would be where we'd like that to connect to next. Having North Korea as our next one's really strange. I guess it's technically counting Russia as what's connecting to it. So for now, we'll just have Myanmar run straight into New Delhi. And we will give them a worthwhile plane. Oh, we've got some distant Kazakhstan there. I think, I might have said this previously, but I think that having the faster planes in this almost makes sense because it means that everyone's moving around a bit quicker. That we gain money faster because those planes are moving faster. Now, obviously, there's the other side of that. There's not passengers building as fast as... like, they're not going to build any faster at locations, even though the planes are flying faster, but... I don't know, it sort of moves, like particularly somewhere like, say, Delhi, all of those fast jets on that side means that anyone landing in Delhi should be dispersed to wherever it needs to go as soon as they land. Now Paris is now looking alright. Again, Houston is sort of the struggling point. I could build another line from Madrid to Houston. It's probably what I should have done in the first place. You can see that route is now worth more. So building long distance routes early that you don't need could actually be what gets you over the line at the very end. I totally forgot what city just announced to me was coming in. There we are. Now if I connect that to... Yeah, I'll connect Myanmar direct there, so it means that Myanmar might be one of the routes through. We might connect Chennai to Bangkok, and then connect... I don't know. We might just rebuild this once Thailand's in this. We'll see. So, based on that, I am going to build this $100,000 connection there. what we'll do is we will try and count out distance here to put 5 planes on it and just space them out correctly. So there's 1. Just wait till he hits about here. So I think what I said in another one is that I could probably just get rid of that Havana connection to Paris, because it was just built solely for that sort of like saving point of having Havana not, well, sorry, Paris not collapse under the weight of people wanting to go to Havana. That now is just sort of like will make me money, hopefully in the long term. That, I mean, I suppose I could go back and watch my previous video to see what I spent on that. But get that guy bigger because he's what's causing them a problem. Actually, let's make all these guys bigger if they're all red. Him all the way up too. So let's see if that means that people are moving in Mexico City and things might move down there. Yeah, we could go back and have a look to see what I spent on this Havana route in the first place, and whether there's any value to it slowly building and building. Okay, so hopefully those speeds should stop Los Angeles having as big a problem as it just experienced. You can see that Paris is still obviously going to do a lot of the heavy lifting here. Someone might have suggested too that what I could do is just set up a direct Washington to LA flight too, but let's get that guy upgraded as well. Now, gaining North Korea here is a bit of a pain too, because obviously I want that to connect through South Korea or through Beijing directly, and I think that I might just have to bite the bullet and take China. I've got 54 minutes, I suppose, until I need North Korea. So let's get Beijing going. Now what I'm going to do is try and build reroutes now to Beijing. Oh, I'll just go through New Delhi as well. We're going to make sure that we actually hit New Delhi with this one, because we don't want to go on through one of those small, all of those connecting Indian flights. But we're going to make Beijing have plenty of options on how you get there. There is definitely part of me that feels that you could be sunk in this game by just struggling to hit that click and get this all done right. I feel like that could be in my future at some point. Okay, so now what we want to do is we will get these routes going a bit more efficiently. Get him going too. So I imagine that a lot of traffic is going to come through Beijing. We will try and have 3 hubs in China though, but I don't think that there's any reason to say that that shouldn't mean that I shouldn't have as many routes as possible leading to Beijing, and then Guangzhou and probably Wuhan in the middle. Let's give Shanghai a reasonable jet. Because these two are connected as well, it should mean that no one's bouncing through Beijing to get north as well. So that's good. We'll just we will spend the money to have all 5 on these, because these are relatively long flights that we got going from Beijing. Leave that one with 4 for now. We'll give Beijing a few upgrades too. That does mean we can now effortlessly bring in North Korea because it can just go straight to Beijing. South Africa. Now this is definitely the joke one of of my abilities to locate countries. It's like, where do I think South Africa is? Okay, so before we address South Africa, we will make a direct flight from Beijing to Guangzhou. We will allow Shanghai to connect either way, because I expect that Shanghai is going to be a busy city, busy enough that it can go either way. We might give the Guangzhou-Beijing connection 2 planes as well. And then what we will do is we'll connect that to Myanmar, and we will connect it to... Oh, might zoom in to do this. Connect that into Delhi. We will make these planes a bit more beefy. I'll up the amount of planes on this route, and on that route. Probably done a bad job there because we have both those at basically the same end. Just wait till this guy's almost up there, and wait till this guy's almost up there, and I'll put a 3rd plane on that route. 3rd one on here. I don't think that this needs to be as busy, because I think that Beijing will probably be the major point everything's sweeping into. Just depends on what we have coming from this like Southeast Asia. Okay. So where do we think South Africa is? Central America, Eastern Europe, Southeast Asia? Never really tell, can you? Alright, so what's this I just get warned about? And I know where South Africa is, don't worry. I just got warned somewhere was overcrowded, but hopefully it's gone away because it's been addressed. Another neat thing I would love to know, I'm not sure if I've said this before, I would love to know how many passengers are currently on the board for a certain city. Like, how many people are currently trying to get to Los Angeles? Do I need to make this connection a bit more direct? Like, is Paris buckling under people trying to get to LA? Yes, cool. So that means that the majority of people who are going to LA are going through Washington. So let's give them that direct route. And what we'll do is we'll make that 2 airplanes, because we don't want all of these people then sitting in Washington trying to get over. Okay, here come our Chinese cities. Now that is pretty central to begin with. Could be actually a good location of my third Chinese hub. I assume that it's starting to get hit by... Hanover. Okay, so that's was in that. Let's get him addressing that nice and quick, because that is many people currently sitting just to get to one city. And that's definitely another reason to say why I should be upgrading all of these small planes on those off chances that Luxembourg hosts the Olympics or whatever happens. Now the problem is that if I'm not paying attention to something like that, I now don't have another get out of jail free. I've got one more get out of jail free card that I can upgrade it to level 10. But yeah, now if that happens to Paris, then we're sunk. So do I make another route in? $12,000. I mean, we'll have to pay him that either way, so I guess we've got to say yes. But for those that have complained to say that they think that that's one of the worst things in the game, I agree that it just continues to stack and get worse and worse, and there's nothing you can do about it. Just lose money for, like, you can have built a lovely confident strategy and then just suddenly lose it all because one businessman, I don't know, must have been traveling with what, a suitcase completely full of diamonds. Okay, so South Africa, I'm not going to make a central hub. I'm going to leave it as Botswana. Just have South Africa connect into that. So there's a little bit of a higher point for this. And then I'll just use that city there as what I connect to Brazil and to Australia. And, well, maybe not necessarily Australia, Indonesia, Jakarta will be the connection across here. I could possibly also make a connection from there to Chennai. It's Wuhan in the middle. Now the question is whether it's okay to have these planes sort of traveling the distance they are, or if they should all... I'm better off making them shorter routes. We might go the shorter routes and spoke in here, so we'll sell that, and we'll sell... Might come in there too, and we will sell that route, and we'll make Wuhan connect both. Make sure that our connections to Wuhan have speedy planes. Now this is an interesting argument that some have made for this. And if I'm in danger, I should actually decline this. That I'm still going to make, like, that I'm going to have a third of the population of people on my flight network. And for somewhere like, if you recall, when I had absolute problems with Paris, perfect. Let's reduce the amount of people in this this build. Let's get rid of people so that Berlin still doesn't have, like, can get over its Hanover hangover. Near Sultan is still a bit of a struggle, and it's going to be because it's got stuff coming through from Europe to China. Now, do we have our full 5? We do have 5 planes on that. What we might do is we will put another route in for Wuhan direct there, and we'll give Shanghai a direct route to Wuhan too. What we'll do is we'll get Wuhan having 5 on there too. Because ideally we don't want Wuhan having to connect through Guangzhou or Beijing. We do want them, all 3 of these cities, to sort of have direct routes coming into them. I don't know why I thought that one needed to be a major plane, but there we go. Okay, so we'll send Wuhan, Guangzhou, bring that in. Send Wuhan straight across to Delhi. Again, we'll zoom into Delhi. That's set up. Probably want at least 3 planes doing this. But certainly what we're trying to do now is just give variety of routes, that we don't want everyone to have to come through the same one point of any of these, like what we saw in the first time I played All Country, that everyone had to come through Kazakhstan if you wanted to get to China. No, we want to make it so that you can get there multiple ways. Okay, so Bangkok will connect to Guangzhou, Shenzhen in. We probably want to up the size of that Shenzhen. Oh, okay, I've lost my pronunciation of that one. Just because I think that's a relatively big city too. Okay, Wuhan is struggling. So let's go Chennai to Bangkok. And we'll make that a 2-plane route at least. We'll just go based on the distance between the three, so that there's at least sort of some consistency bouncing through them. Yeah, let's do it again. Myanmar, I don't know if I should just leave as is. Okay, let's work out why Moscow's not happy. Minsk. Alright, that answers that. So maybe let's just chuck a second plane on here. Try and address that, because that's... It's a semi-long flight there, so let's just try and clean it up. There's more planes coming into Moscow than going to Minsk. They seem like they've got that under wraps now. But like I said, that's the problem, that if I miss one of those, if I don't see that happening, and these guys are level 10, then that's it. We're going to be cooked, because we can't address it that quick. Which I do think means that what we need to do is Minsk as well, so that's actually this flight path. So yeah, certainly want to address the amount of planes on this path, because it's just became much more significant. How many have we got on that? Give them another one too. I think that the other one, this might not be, or is that the... No, they're okay. Okay. And we will just make sure there's a bit more movement going on those ones too. Alright, so let's get our new Chinese cities in. Possibly this is what we just need to do now, is that we don't necessarily want to bring in the next new country, even though we've got a ton of money. What we need to do now is just spend the next sort of 30 minutes just shoring up what we currently do have. China should be the last really major impact in here. You can see how many internal cities we've got in Delhi, how many we've got sort of in America's not too bad, Russia's a little bit, and then China. So what we want to do is we want to make sure that these guys have a chance to flourish and make us that money. That you can see that we're already back to 2 million. Calcutta is where they're struggling. Okay, so how are people getting from Calcutta? From Cairo to Calcutta? Is that across to Tehran? Doesn't look like it. They're heading south. I can't really tell. Okay, let's put a second plane on these two routes. Try and address Cairo's problem. There's already 2 planes on that route, so let's give them a third one. We'll give this a third too, because these are becoming high pay is what it's struggling with. Chengdu. Remember the pandas? Sort of the edge of the... So I think Chengdu's in the mountains, like it's sort of mountainy, and I think it's right on the edge of the Tibetan plateau. Sort of plateau will run just sort of against its edge. Xi'an. The Terracotta Warriors. Okay, so let's try then. Do we give just Cairo a direct route to India? Is that what we need to do here? Although that's all of these guys are going to then take that same route, and it's going to be a pretty long route. So I've got to assume that since there's Chinese travelers on this as well, that we actually want to get the... I'll wait for all these guys to turn around and go the other way. We actually really want to get this all the way up. You can see that all of these planes are currently red as they go. So we'll wait for these guys to pass him. The last one to turn around, get him going. And then we'll wait for this guy to turn around and come back. And then we'll try and just fill the last gap on this route too. Because they are feeling it. Now that also means that we are about to increase the amount of people that are in Tehran, but hopefully that those planes are already doing the heavy work there. Tunisia is quarantined, so hopefully Tunisia, don't remember where you are, hopefully Tunisia's Europe, is it? Somewhere. Hope you're alright. Hope you're not an important city in my layout. Okay, so Bangkok, we need to just work out if there's anything extra we need to do here. Do we need to have that? Let's just leave them in there and we'll connect them to Myanmar as well. Let's use that as the sort of connection route for them. Alright, well that's a tiny little join, and this is certainly an easy join as well. Into Johannesburg very briefly, only for a few days. I don't know if anyone else has had this sense, but it reminded me a lot of Los Angeles. It's got a very similar landscape. Los Angeles, like those dry sort of just hills. Definitely didn't expect it. Zibo. Am I pronouncing that right? No, I hope that's the correct pronunciation because it's really fun. Zibo. Okay, Saudi Arabia. So Saudi Arabia would have a spread of cities, or it could all be sort of in this area here. So I think that possibly we'll make the UAE actually would probably be the best one to be the central point of this area. But I think that the capital of Saudi is... that's central to the stuff that's going on here. So we'll make this hub for the Middle East. We'll give it connections to those four and to... where do we want to go? Do we want them to go to New Delhi or do we want them to go to Chennai? I mean, let's go, why not both? Now, obviously, they're not going to be happy with the workload as it stands with the planes that they've got. So, what we need to really work out here is who's going to be using this as a pass-through point. Oh, so that's what, India. So let's give India a second plane. Yep, can see a lot of that's Calcutta. So Calcutta is here. So that would be through this route up there. Let's just let this evolve for a little bit. We'll watch the planes coming out. We'll see where we're getting red planes. We can see that we're getting a red plane coming in from Africa. But the red planes going out and going to India, and that looks to be the case. Like all of these guys are green coming in. These guys are red moving up. So they're bringing across the Chinese travelers as well. Let's get another plane on this because that's where they're going to struggle. Did I say rider? I can't imagine that's the correct pronunciation. Okay. More Chinese cities to join in. More the merrier. It's our domestic dollars. Alright, good. So I guess for the next week what we want to do is not make many routes if we can avoid it. Because instead what we want to do is probably just nurture the ones that we've got. I've got all my Chinese cities as they stand. So let's go back here. Let's see how these guys are going. And how these guys are going. So they're still needing to push more people. Just wait till that guy hits here and then we'll him all the way up. Okay, so he's not bringing anyone across, so it looks like that possibly the three are doing enough work here. These red guys, now there's two of these, there's probably going to be more people coming out. You can see that they are shifting around a bit more. Have a look at how these guys are doing. So Paris is still... Wow. Okay, let's give Paris a direct New York route to... Wow, and you've got to go really close in on these ones. It's a long trip. Okay, New York. Slow things down. Let's find that plane. So this is our New York plane right there. Get him going. We will... I realize again this means that there's another direct route that's just coming out of... out of Paris. But... it is what it is, I suppose. Hopefully what it is just means there's another 5 planes that are coming from Paris to America. Potentially that if it is just New York is getting so bad, it's just to address that one thing. That it just means that at least there's 5 more maximum planes moving through Paris, and as long as they're coming with some sort of consistency, it means that Paris won't completely overload. But they are definitely getting worse and worse at the moment, so let's just slow things down. Cool. So now we also have even people from LA. They're going to be bouncing over even more. And the problem is that it now means that people going to New York won't take the Washington option. They are strictly going to go through New York. But it would mean that people, say, going to Toronto, I would hope, go through Washington because it's a direct route, so they don't go New York to Washington to Toronto. But I don't know if that would be the case. I need to work out which line is the... have a look at the Washington route. Cool, so we can see everyone is still red on that. And let's have a quick look at Havana. 72,000. So we are still making money on having that route sitting there doing minimal work with 5 planes in a row. Let's get Durban in. I'm coming, I'm coming. Alright. Let's get them in. Give them a bigger plane. Alright, so in all those moves, we have severely reduced the amount of time that we currently have. So let's try and spend a little, slow things down. Because we do have the money, and that's a big thing about this, is that we can at least see that New York is starting to go down a bit, and I would hope that Los Angeles is taking a different route to New York, but I don't know, there's no way that I can look to see what route are people taking from flying Houston. So that'll be my Washington guy there. So let's have a look. As he arrives, do we just see a massive hit of Los Angeles? Cool. So the people going to Los Angeles are taking the Washington route. The people going to New York are taking the New York route. So even though they're on the same thing, they're split. But we need to address this elsewhere. Hopefully people that are going to Los Angeles from the south are going via Madrid. But maybe what we need to do is create a direct Berlin to Madrid route to make the appeal of that possibly a bit more viable for everyone in Europe. So we'll... because this isn't really going down at all. This is just how it's going to be, essentially. So I would have thought that anyone from Africa, or at least the southern half of Africa, going there would be going this way. Certainly won't be the case for anyone coming from this part of the world. So how do we address it? How do we stop all of this traffic going through Paris? That's just staying the same. It's not getting any better. Also, at the same time, we do want to get Kuwait mix. Get Kuwait in. Kuwait a gold plane. We'll give Liberia, which I think is that Africa? Liberia in there. UAE. That in. Suriname, which is also West No, haha, wrong. West Africa was my guess. That is not West Africa. That is South America. And then the Bahamas. Okay, so let's just do a quick jolt of that so that we have a nice little buffer of 48 minutes with our now no money at all, which is probably a lot more dangerous than I realized how low I was going there. But hopefully we'll make it back nice and quick. And Paris will be our next problem to solve again. We've got direct flights to that. Do we need to make a direct flight to LA, or is that going to cause an even bigger problem? Should we make a direct flight to LA from Madrid? Anyway, that's questions for next time. Thanks for watching. Anything you want to say, just check below, and I'll catch you next time. Later.